Charlie Kirk gave a brilliant speech at the Oxford Union not that long ago, I believe. He recently shared the video of the speech, and it's quite a brilliant speech. So I want you guys to watch it, and then we'll make a couple of comments after it, because I think what Charlie had to say was really brilliant. Have a watch.
If you dislike the West, and if you hate the West's values, if you think the West is evil fundamentally and deserves to be destroyed, then anything Donald Trump does basically short of surrender will be too far for you. If I was visiting this school 100 years ago, speaking in support of an American president, I think we would at least have some broad agreement on what a country's leader should be trying to do. But we don't anymore. I don't think it's because America's changed. In fact, I think it's because Britain has changed. From my perspective, Britain is one of the greatest countries in the history of the world. You are the country of Shakespeare, the steam engine, and Adam Smith. You defeated Napoleon, you destroyed the slave trade, you stood up to Hitler. My country, America, became great as it is because of what we inherited from you, from Britain. When I hear the slogan, "Make America Great Again," I'm also hearing, quote, "Return America to its British roots." Great Britain has everything in the world to be proud of. But when I look at Britain today, I see a country where the ruling elites are in a race to abandon the very values, the values that made them so great in the first place. I wish I could blame this all on labor, all on the left, but I can't. This country just had its 14th uninterrupted year of so-called conservative rule. And what did they conserve exactly? Well, they didn't conserve the ancient British rights to freedom of speech. In Britain today, 30 people a day are arrested for offensive posts on social media, according to The Telegraph. Praying silently within 600 feet of an abortion clinic can get you arrested in Scotland, as a 74-year-old woman named Rose just learned weeks ago. Members of Parliament scold British citizens for thinking they have the right to say that they do not have the right to say things that offend Muslims. 14 years of conservative rule didn't conserve British prosperity. Adjusted for inflation cost of living, the average British worker makes less today than they did in 2008. Outside of London, the British have lower incomes than every one of America's 50 states, and it never used to be this way. British industry pays 4 times as much for electricity as America does. You have the highest electricity rates in the world, a consequence of a choice of going net neutral. Nothing will kill a modern economy faster than high energy prices. And the country that invented the steam engine now has some of the highest energy prices on the planet. But above all, 14 years of conservative control didn't preserve the British nation. This country's conservatives thought it was their moral duty to allow anyone from the third world to move here. They didn't need to hold Western values. They didn't need to have useful skills. They could go on welfare immediately. Just last week, Keir Starmer announced he's changing the law to make sure immigrants who commit crimes are deported, because the conservatives never actually bothered passing that law themselves. The dying out of the British nation means the dying out of Christianity. Britain is the birthplace of Baptists, Methodists, Presbyterians, Anglicans, Quakers, and more. I would guess that more Christian denominations trace back to Britain than any other country. But soon, Britain will have more practicing Muslims than practicing Christians. I think that will be a catastrophic change, and everyone knows it. That's why it's only Muslims moving to Christian countries, never the other way around. I don't want America to go the way of Britain. I want us to remain free. I want us to remain rich and innovative. I want us to remain Christian. I don't want Americans to be replaced. But forget what I want. This is what the American people want. And in a democracy, the people are supposed to get what they want. The very same people that lecture us about democracy have a lot of problems with the consequences.
Out of Britain is a dying out of Christianity. Soon, Britain will have more practicing Muslims than practicing Christians. It's why many Muslims are entering into many Christian countries and dismantling it. Our leaders have failed our country, not just the UK, Australia, New Zealand, any Western democracy. Leaders, both conservative or Labour alike, you're on both sides of the aisle, because the UK had 14 years under the so-called conservatives. But what were they doing? They weren't conserving anything. They were actually really destroying the country. They forgot their values. And as a result, the country, Great Britain, is no longer considered great, is it? It's just considered Britain. It's falling so far into the black abyss, like many countries are. Australia is following along, following suit with what used to be Great Britain. Many countries of the West, we owe Great Britain a lot. We owe it for democracy. We owe it for freedom of speech. We owe it for Christianity, Christian values. We owe it for so much. Industrialization, energy, smart things. And then somewhere along the line, we lost our way, didn't we? Corruption, playing into the hands of not just corrupt individuals, but playing into the hands of people that don't know anything about running a society except fulfilling their own damn pockets. We made it legal somewhat, even though they consider it to be, well, many people consider it to be illegal, but the politicians seem to think that it's legal, allowing in people from other countries on an illegal basis. And they'll just go, whatever. So people come from countries we don't even want them to come from illegally, and they take over. How is it that Great Britain lost its way? Not that long ago, I could look at Britain and be grateful for Britain, be grateful for the British people. I still am grateful for many British patriots. Why is it that so many are now turning their back on the corrupt politics, the corrupt politicians? High energy prices being one. Corruption. Politicians just piling their pockets. Mass immigration. People are fed up. They can't afford to live. They can't afford to go on. And what Charlie did, I thought was brilliant. He spoke the truth. When he says that make America great again, he's really referring to bring it back to the British roots. Great Britain caused America. America decided, you know what, we're going to be free. We're going to be independent of the British. We're going to fight for our independence. You had the Revolutionary War to get away from Great Britain. To create their own republic. America did that. But the values that most American people espouse came from Great Britain. And today we're giving it all away. It's no wonder that so many British people are fed up. They're tired of being arrested and charged for a social media post. They're tired of not being able to afford housing or rent or food or electricity. Because government overlords, elites, have gone, you're not important anymore. We're going to put immigrants, we're going to give them money, phones, you name it. We're going to put them up in 5-star luxury hotels. These are men, fighting age men, mostly Muslim. And they come to these countries and cause problems. Why is it that you've got a high crime rate in many, many Western countries now? Usually from who? You think it's from the citizens? Not always. So Charlie is right. And I think Australia needs to get a grip. Our politicians, Labor, even the Liberals, they're not much different. They're both the same. We need someone that actually has a backbone and a spine to stand up and say, these things are wrong. Enough is enough. Let's bring things back to sanity. Let's get back to our roots because we've lost our way. And when we lose our way, if we forget our roots, chaos ensues, does it not? That's what we're beginning to see. unrest, chaos, when you allow cracks to seep in, things take over that are quite ugly to see. I'm seeing a lot of it. I'm sure many of you are also seeing a lot of it too. We've allowed far too many people into the country from places that don't love this country. They don't love Australia, don't love the UK. And now's the time for all of us to go, enough is enough. I'm done with it. I'm sure many of you watching this are also done with it. Anyway, that is enough from me. But you guys take care, be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.